Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. I really hope that 2019 is going to be a fantastic year for you all, and that all your wishes are going to come true, that all the seeds that you'd sown last year is going to sprout into amazing trees and bear so much fruit for you in this year. So, there's nobody on yet because I suppose it's that time of it. Oh, hi, James. Thanks for joining, and Juliana, thanks for joining, guys. Welcome. Hi, Pushpa. Hi, you. Happy New Year, girl. So, right. I have my crypt notes here, so if I do look down, I apologize for that. I like to keep my thoughts with me. So thanks, Pushpa. I know you'd understand. Okay. So I'm going to be discussing today the inner child and the role that the inner child plays in our everyday lives, the way that it affects our money, the way that it affects, our sexual lives, the way that it affects our dating and our love lives. It plays a huge role in every single aspect of our lives. We don't really realize the effect that the inner child has on us. We don't realize that so many of the issues that we are facing today are because of the inner child. We don't realize how much the inner child plays a role in addiction, in food addictions, in sex addictions. We don't realize the amount of, the big role that the inner child plays in terms of when we choose a partner or the way that we even have a fight. That is affected by the inner child. Our ability to save money, our ability to make money, our ability to be safe and secure within our own business. All of these things are greatly affected by the inner child. So when we have a nurtured inner child, the chances of the inner child taking over and creating havoc is a lot less. But when we have a child that is unhealed, that feels that the meds aren't met, then they will end up wreaking a hell of a lot of havoc in your life in every aspect. So the wounded inner child, okay, is actually an unconscious, subconscious imprint from childhood. And it still really controls, as I've just said, our behaviors when it comes to love, sex, relationships, when it comes to money, when it comes to saving money, when it comes to having a successful and fruitful business. I cannot begin to explain to you how many of my clients have come to me, and I know that I am a dating and love and sex coach, but these things hold so much. They are so entwined. The moment that my clients have gone through a process, their money problems seem to start dissipating and they take a hell of a lot more control over their lives. It's all of a sudden their business starts taking off. All of a sudden they start releasing the weight that they've been carrying for so long. All of a sudden their lives do a 360-degree turn because the inner child has been nurtured and has been taken care of the way that it was meant to be taken care of. So this also affects how we relate to, to everybody else around us and how we treat other people, for example. So the inner child imprint is usually found in the primal brain, okay, as well as in the limbic parts of the brain of the nervous system. And our experiences from childhood leaves us with all kinds of impressions in the deep limbic system. So, kids follow their caretakers, they learn from their caretakers, they pick up information from their caretakers because they're little sponges from the smaller ages. So in the formative years, you'll find that the children will absolutely pick up all the information that you as a parent is teaching to them. So this can be from grandma and grandpa, this can be from aunt and uncles, this can be from TV, this can be from various many resources. Kids really absorb all that information and make it part of their lives, and they make it part of their inner resource, inner life as well. So they will start resourcing according to what they've learned. So if you have a certain way that you react to certain situations, your child will actually start picking that up and start doing that as well. So I just wanted to bring that in and just make you very much aware. For those of you that are parents, be aware what you do in front of your kids, because they do pick that up from a very young age and they make it part of their life. Okay, so they're still learning how to become little humans. Okay, so all of these things that we teach these kids, it becomes habituated in them. Okay, so your beliefs, your thought patterns, your way of responding, all of that becomes habituated within the kids. And you know, in society, we are taught certain ways to be. Our families will teach us the way that you're reacting now is not right. The way that what you're doing now is not right. The way that you're acting now, you know, we don't act that way. So, you know, we are taught that certain behaviors are not right. We are taught that certain behaviors and so on is not acceptable. It's not okay. So, and these things will create this deep core structure, you know, within this child, and it will create actually a sub-personality. And it's really actually one of the most dominant you know, things in people's psyches is the child sub-personality. So this plays a really, really massive role in our day-to-day lives, because, you know, we run our lives, our sexual attitudes, our financial stories, our eating patterns, all of these things are based on the sub-personality that we've got, the inner child. And you know, all of this, what it basically is, in the end of the day, as I said to you, is all beliefs, and it's all just events, it's all stories, it's all programs that we've learned as individuals, from our families, from traumas, from experiences, from what we've seen and read, from what we have experienced in life. Okay, we are a conglomerate of experiences, of programs, of beliefs, and that's what makes us up as a human being in the end of the day. Okay, so and this is what makes the sub-personality also a you know, a true force, is all of these beliefs and these experiences that we've gone through. So our perceptions about our partners, our perceptions about our abilities to be intimate, our perceptions to earn money, to be wealthy, to be safe and secure, all of those things, okay, is really greatly affected by our inner child. So many people on an unconscious level will, you know, relate to the world from the inner child. So they'll pick partners based on these unmet needs from the inner child. So if for example, okay, so let me give you a very, very good example of a very strong pattern that I see in a lot of my clients is, you know, there's a conflict of a person wanting to be financially safe and secure and strong and powerful, and this is somebody that holds a job in a very high power, holds a high power job, which is, but then her parents would come and her parents would say, for example, stuff around, you know, you weren't cut out for this. This is a man's job. Okay, why don't you just maybe do something that's a bit lower than what you're doing now, because, you know, what you're doing is absolutely a man's job and this should not be done by a woman, for example. Okay, so and what would happen is there's this absolute need from this woman, for example, to want to appease her dad, to get his acceptance, to get him to see her, to notice her. So she will constantly have these patterns where financially she will sink herself constantly, because she has this thing within her at this point where she wants her dad to accept her and love her for who she is, and to come in as the savior so she can appease him. But what she's doing is she's really just damaging herself more in the end of the day, because she's trying to live up to that expectation of him saying that she's not good enough, that she's not strong enough, that it's bad to be an empowered woman. And this goes for men as well. I'm just giving this as an example on the female. So I'm not saying that this is a female issue only. Men has the same issue. They will sink themselves because of a conflict, because they have this unmet need within them and they're trying to appease their mom in some way or their dad in some way. And so they'll try, even though there's this absolute want and this need that they really want to become financially wealthy and do really well, they will end up sinking themselves just for the fact that they want to appease. The inner child wants to appease their dad or their mom or the parent, the caretaker, whatever the case might be, so that they will not be thrown out of the family unit. I'll discuss family units at another time with you guys, because that's another thing that I will be discussing. So, you know, we have this thing within ourselves that as babies, if you're lying in the cot and you're crying, okay, that couple of minutes that it takes you to go for you to have your needs met for whatever reason, maybe you're hungry or your diaper is wet, might feel like an eternity for a kid, for a baby. And in that mind of a baby, of a child, they feel like they've already been abandoned. Okay, they get that sense. So the greatest fear that we as society has is to be kicked out, ostracized, is to be sent away from the tribe. That is one of the biggest fears that we have, and that's where anxieties are born, because we have this need, this want to be safe and secure. We desperately need to be safe and secure. We desperately need to know that we are safe and secure. And when we don't feel that way, we become anxious, because this comes back to prehistoric times when we as humans used to live in tribes. What would happen is we would end up living together, and we would all, you know, thrive as a community. But the moment that somebody did something wrong and they were kicked out of the tribe, it would mean certain death, because you could not survive without the rest of the members. You were kicked out, your life would end. You would be eaten up by a big fluffy kitty cat with talons and teeth this big. You would die from, you know, a lizard chasing you down, or poison, or whatever the case might be. So it's born and bred within us not to, you know, this need within us to not to be kicked out of society or our tribes. And that's where our anxieties and fears come in. It's all about survival. Now, the same with the child, or the inner child, okay? The inner child's going to run the show, because it feels like it constantly needs to find a way of creating safety and security. Oh, so my dad and my mom wants me to be this way. Okay, so me as the inner child will come in and I will act this way. But okay, I'm actually now 75 or 32 or 40 or whatever, and I actually do have a family, and I do want to take care of them, and I do want to earn hundreds of thousands of or millions of dollars, or whatever the case might be. But now you have this conflict happening with your adult you and your inner child you, in terms of relationships, in terms of sex, in terms of money, in terms of being successful in every aspect of your life, okay? Now, so you'll get people that will say, for example, so some of the symptoms, just a couple of the symptoms, is you'll hear somebody saying, you know, so I'm doing great in this area of my life, but when I get home to my wife or my husband, everything just goes balls up. Like there's something that just goes really wrong in that moment. And you know, everything just gets really, really weird. That is a sign and a symptom of inner child acting up. Or, for example, I'm usually this adult in every aspect of my life, but when it comes to sex, my penis has a mind of its own. That's also the inner child playing a big role there. Or, for example, let's look at food addiction, for example. People will go, well, you know what, I have strict rules about everything, or I have these, I can handle everything else in life. I don't have any issues on other aspects. Of the moment that I see food, it's like something just absolutely takes over, and I have no control whatsoever, and I just eat and I cannot stop myself. Or, you know, there's all these things that signs and symptoms, you know, and then once again it comes down to people not being able to, let's say, save money. There are people that will, for example, self-harm themselves through getting themselves into debt because they can't hold on to money, self-harm through overeating, self-harm through biting nails or pulling out hair or whatever the case might be, and various other levels of self-harm, okay? Choosing wrong partners that's good, not good for the person. That's also a form of self-harm, actually, because the way that you see yourself on the inside, the way that you see yourself as an individual, do you see yourself as an unlovable person? Do you feel that you are not a good business person? Do you feel that you are unworthy of love, undeserving? All of those things plays a massive role in your capability of being successful in dating, in relationships, in having a healthy and adult, mature sexual relationship with another person, and all of these things. And neuroscience plays a really big role in this too, because whatever you see yourself as, your neural pathways are going to start working towards giving you that. So I'll give you an example with some of the clients that I do tend to work with. So let's say I've taken in a client for, I used to do weight loss. I don't really do that any longer. I now refer out, but let's, for argument's sake, just say I'm working with a weight loss client right now. Usually the core identity when we are working with somebody that's got weight loss issues, that's really overweight and that's struggling, is they'll see themselves as this fat, ugly frog, that can't lose weight, that's constantly anxious, and they stuff their face full of crap. Okay, that's a core identity, and the person will constantly live up to that unless we've started to change that. Okay, and that core identity is created by inner child stuff. The inner child is where your core identity stuff gets created. It is so deep. So deep. It is at your foundations. It can be changed though. So don't sit there and go, oh, I can't do this. It can be changed, okay? It can be. It is so possible to shift that core identity into something that you really want to be as, okay? So I'm not giving you bad news on that stuff today, okay? So, much of these hardships that we have these days are due to the unconscious inner child beliefs and experiences, the imprints and the wounding that we've experienced as kids from a tiny age, from even being in the womb. The amount of times that I've worked with somebody and they would take me back to a moment where they were in the womb and they can recall nearly being aborted or their parents not wanting them. All of those things really powerfully imprints on the child because the brain is set up for survival, okay? It might not at that time understand language the way that you and I understand language, but it understands intention. It understands energy. It understands, it is very tuned in onto what the parents are doing, because the brain is set up for survival always. So you have these neural pathways, you've got these little sensors coming up, checking your environment, everything's fine, and it goes down. That is the normal individual's ability to check their environment. Okay, so that is a normal person. It comes up, environment's fine, goes down, and you go out of fight, flight, freeze. But people that's been through trauma from a very young age, people that has experienced nearly dying or being thrown out, or that had that perception of being kicked out or dying or whatever, then they are constantly doing this. They are never resting, and that's when the nervous system goes into total frenzy, and they are incapable of handling anything. This is where anxiety comes in. This is where your health issues come in. So many factors play a massive role in this now. Okay, so we can bring this unconscious inner child subpersonality forward, and where you can absolutely actively work with this inner child to heal it in such a way that it leaves a lasting imprint within you of safety and security, so that the stuff that used to trigger you do not trigger you like it used to, or that you are more aware of the triggering as well. I don't believe in just being aware, of having an awareness only of the issues. I believe in actively changing and shifting that, because the brain is neuroplastic. That means it shifts, it changes, and you can go and change those pathways, those messages very easily. It doesn't have to take 30 days or 21 days at all to change these responses to these stimuli. Okay, it doesn't have to be that way. So coming back to the inner child. So when you've actively worked with the inner child and you've actively empowered this inner child, we create a safety and security for the inner child, and you become really free and very powerful in every aspect of your life as a result. So we also then give the child new roles to play in your life. Instead of just them taking over the adult stuff, a child is not meant to be making adult choices. A child is not meant to be, part of the adult stuff at all. So we actively give the child new roles, okay, that is befitting them, where they can feel safe, where they are secure, because it is about creating that safety and security within the nervous system to such a degree that these old things don't bother you anymore. Now, there is the times that I've worked with people around these things, and the times that my colleagues have worked with people around the inner child issues and a whole bunch of other stuff. It has been amazing for us to witness how many of the issues that they used to really struggle with, from anxiety, from depression, from weight issues, from money problems, from sex, from dating issues, right? And from choosing wrong partners, how those things just went up in smoke. And all of a sudden, they are hanging on to their money they are saving. All of a sudden, they are gaining the clients that they deserve because they no longer choose wrong clients. This is a fundamental truth, guys, and I've seen this over and over and over and over again in my 13 years of doing and studying this work. Is every time, right, an individual ends up. So if there's this need to constantly prove yourself, right? This need to constantly say, to get other people to say to you, well, yeah, you know what, you deserve to be alive, or whatever the case might be, or and you constantly trying to make everybody happy around you. You're never capable of saying no. You're never capable of setting up those boundaries. What happens is that pattern that you have with everybody else around you absolutely happens with you in your relationships or choosing partners too. And the same with clients. You end up choosing, if you're going to choose the wrong partner to be with, you're going to choose the wrong clients to work with. That is a fundamental truth. And I've seen this happen over and over and over again. I cannot tell you how many times. I'm not the only one. Many of my colleagues will tell you that exact same thing. The moment that you have this one pattern, if it's similar, right, it's going to keep repeating itself in your life all over and over and over and over and over again. So you'll keep choosing the wrong partners, you'll keep choosing the wrong clients, you'll keep, and I see this so much. It is shocking what we are doing as individuals to ourselves in this aspect. Okay, but you can change that, because that's just a story. It is a story that we are running. So when we have worked with the inner child around releasing this, we are capable then to set up our boundaries and set up our no's and take better care of ourselves in every aspect. So we were less inclined to choose these people that are abusive towards us, that only wants one thing, and we are less inclined to have all these bad patterns that's been holding us back in life. Okay, so a happy, nourished, and safe and protected inner child means that you have a more fruitful and successful and happy life. It really does. And I've seen this for myself so many times. So I hope that this has brought a bit of information, a bit more of clarity to you in anything that you might have been struggling with in your life. So off the top of my head, some of the signs and symptoms, I didn't make a note of that, to be honest. Off the top of my head right now, people that has inner child issues are incapable of saying no. They can't put up boundaries. They will work themselves into a stupor. They will end up basically just sacrificing themselves in every aspect, okay? Because they have this absolutely deep need to be accepted, to be, to be told, you're being a good girl, you're being a good boy, and that all of that stems from this wounded inner child with unmet needs. So this is as you can I hope that you can see the correlations here, the connections, and how this is going to affect your business, how this will affect you in various aspects of your life. Addictions, okay, your addictions are thanks to unmet inner child needs because of traumas. All of those things, those are fundamentally why people have addictions. It's a symptom of a person's feeling unsafe, with conflict, with unmet needs. And you have to understand one thing in life, okay? You as an adult, okay, you're the only one that can give yourself that true unconditional love. You're not going to find it in the arms of another person. I had an interesting conversation with somebody today. I think that the closest we get to really unconditional love is when a mother bears a baby, is when a mother carries a child, or it's a mother's love to a child's love. And because, and don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm saying that a dad cannot have that, but there's a different connection to a mother and her child, for example. I see so many mothers going through terrible abuse cycles with their children because their children has gone through something really bad in their life, and they will constantly keep feeding this child because they have just so much love for their child, and they cannot put that boundary up. They do not have a healthy boundary with that child, and so the abuse cycle carries on in that manner as well. So, and your clients, if you're inclined to choosing people that are abusive towards you, you're going to be choosing clients that's abusive. So all of these things are absolutely deeply connected to each other. I hope this makes sense. I hope this helped a bit. I look forward to doing the next live video with you. I'd love to, for those of you that has been on this call tonight, for those of you that will be watching, I'd love to do a 20-minute session and just do an assessment with you to see where you are and what it is that you're struggling with. So I'll be posting a link underneath this video after I've closed it to a 20-minute assessment. And let's just assess, where are the roles or where is the areas in your life that the inner child is playing a role in, and just have a look at, what's going on and what's alive for you. So I hope that you'll take me up on this offer. I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to getting to know you. I'm on this entire journey this year where I really want to get to know the people that is on my Facebook. So that 20 minutes would be really good to spend with you. So I look forward to meeting you, and have a wonderful morning or day or afternoon or evening or night, wherever you are on this beautiful blue earth of ours. And may you be absolutely blessed. Bye.